Good morning. Hi, Flyers. Can I help you?
Hello, Margaret. This is Dave. I'm at the airport and I want to check the flights of the passengers I'm meeting.
Oh, okay, Dave. Go ahead.
Right. The Spanish flight arrived at 4:50 and flight 1550 from China arrived at 6. The 6:50 from the Emirates has been delayed. That's flight UAE 1880. But the Lisbon flight's already landed at gate 16. Is that all of them? And do you have any news about the Paris flight?
And could I have your mobile number, please?
Yes, it's 07976 122 577. Oh, no, sorry, it's been changed. It's 07961 121 597.
07961 121 597. Thank you. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, I'm having dinner with a friend. Could you recommend a good restaurant nearby?
That would be the Winston Churchill. It's about a mile from here.
Perfect. Could you please make a reservation for 7 p.m. and leave a message with the details for my friend when he arrives?
Certainly. What is the gentleman's name?
Mr. Alaoui. That's Alaoui.
No problem. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
That is the end of section 1. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers. Track 11.
Here are the ingredients for our special apple cake. You need 500 grams, that's half a kilo of apples. 250 grams of sugar, that's a quarter of a kilo. And 330 grams, or a third of a kilo, of flour. You also need 200 grams of butter, that's a fifth of a kilo of butter. And finally, the milk. You need a fifth of a litre of milk, or, if you prefer, that's 200 millilitres.
Track 12.
OK, everyone, could you all pay attention now? Tomorrow, we're going to make a popular Caribbean dish, chicken and rice. Recipes vary from country to country, but for the moment, I'm going to give you the list of ingredients for the basic recipe and leave you to add the flavours and spices to your own taste. Right, are you ready to write this down? OK, first of all, you need a chicken that weighs about 2 kilos. Then, for 4 people, you'll need 750 grams of uncooked rice. OK, for the sauce, you want half a kilo of onions. And tomatoes. You'll need 450 grams of tomatoes. And what else? Oh, yes, and green peppers. You want a quarter of a kilo of green peppers. And finally, 50 millilitres of cooking oil. Have you all got that? Good. See you tomorrow then. Don't forget to bring your favourite spices.
Track 13. Hi, and welcome to Campus Cook-In, our daily TV programme for students who want a bit of variety in their meals. Are you bored with cereal for breakfast? Well, today we're going to tell you how to make pancakes. They're cheap and quick and very easy to make. You only need flour, milk, sugar, salt, oil, and an egg. The full recipe's on the university website. Just follow the link. So, here we go. Before you start, it's important to have the exact quantities, otherwise your pancakes won't cook properly. So please, first, make sure you weigh everything carefully. Everyone ready? Okay. Start by putting the flour, salt and sugar into a large bowl. Next, you whisk the egg, milk and oil in another bowl. Then, slowly add the liquid ingredients to the flour mixture, mixing well until it has a smooth, thick consistency. Make sure you stir all the time. Okay. Now we're ready to cook our pancakes. We start by heating the frying pan and greasing it lightly with a little butter. When the butter's melted, we pour a large spoonful of the pancake mixture into the pan and cook it until the edges are brown. At this point, flip the pancake over and cook for a minute or so longer. Finally, put the pancake on a plate and cover it up to keep it warm while you make the next one. When all your pancakes are ready, you can serve them up with syrup or sugar and lemon, or even fruit. Delicious. Happy eating. Track 14.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to make apple and blackberry crumble, so I hope you've all bought your ingredients. Ready? Now, let's get straight on with cooking. First, you peel the apples and cut them into slices. OK? Don't forget to take the middle out of the apple. Now, put the sliced apples in a pan and cook them with some of the sugar. In about 10 minutes, they should be nice and soft. Right? Now, mix the blackberries and apple together. Make sure that you have about half and half. Put them into the bottom of a baking dish. That's fine. Now, the next thing to do is rub the flour and butter together with your fingers until it's in tiny pieces, like breadcrumbs. Then add the sugar. When it's ready, put the crumble mixture on top of the fruit and bake it all in the oven for 30 minutes.
Track 15.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the university. I hope you're settling in and beginning to find your way around. I know a lot of students find it hard to adapt to the food, so I thought I'd tell you about a couple of popular English meals that you might hear about. Well, actually, you might have heard of the first one already. It's really popular. It's fish and chips. Fish and chips are fried in deep fat, so it's actually very greasy and not at all healthy. But it's still very popular, especially on a Friday night. That's when a lot of people get their fish and chips from the fish and chip shop and take them home to eat. Another traditional meal, which is definitely healthier, is Sunday lunch. In England, Sunday lunch is usually some kind of roast meat with vegetables. Traditionally, families have their Sunday lunch at home, but these days, quite a lot of families have Sunday lunch in a restaurant.
Track 16. Section 2. You will hear part of an introductory talk on nutrition. In the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 4. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good afternoon. Many people in the Western world eat the wrong food, and they eat far too much of it. So, the topic of my lecture today is healthy eating. I'll divide my talk into 3 parts. Firstly, I'm going to define what I mean by healthy eating. After that, I'll go on to talk about why people don't eat properly, and then I'll finish my lecture with some ideas for improving the situation. Right. So, what do I mean by healthy eating? Well, some people might think it means eating a lot of meat. of course, vegetarians wouldn't agree with this. They think eating meat is very unhealthy. Other people think that eating a lot of cabbage is good for you, or a lot of salad. Well, naturally, cabbage, salad and meat can all be part of healthy eating. But for me, healthy eating means two things. One is eating a balanced diet, and the other is eating the right amount of food. In my opinion, a balanced diet means eating a variety of foods, including meat, vegetables, fruit, cereals, and dairy foods. Obviously, the amount of food we should eat is more difficult to decide. It depends a lot on how active we are.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7. Track 17. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 7.
Now on to my next point. Why do so many people eat badly? Well, let's look first at having a balanced diet. To have a balanced diet, you have to plan your meals in advance and then buy the right food. And then take time to cook it properly. But these days people are so busy working that they don't have time to go shopping. So they end up buying fast food at the last minute. Another reason people don't eat well nowadays is that it's actually cheaper to buy food already prepared in a packet. So people who haven't got much money will buy packet food rather than cook something fresh. And a final reason why people don't eat healthily is that they don't know how to. In my opinion, schools don't do nearly enough to educate their pupils in healthy eating habits.
In the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10. Track 18. Now listen and answer questions 8 to 10.
And now to my third and last point. What can we do to solve the problem? Well, I think it can be solved by three main groups: families, schools, and the government. To start with, parents should make sure their children have a healthy diet. Secondly, a lot of schools have self-service machines where their pupils can buy soft drinks, crisps, sweets and chocolates. I think schools should change what they sell in these machines. Another thing schools can do is make sure that the food they serve in their canteens is fresh and well balanced. And to finish, I'll briefly mention two of the measures I think the government should take to encourage healthy eating. One is to limit advertising unhealthy food, and the other is to spend more money on educating the public about the benefits of a healthy diet. In my next lecture, I'll go into more detail about them.
That is the end of section 2. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers. Track 19. 1. Introduce. Introduction. 2. Presentation. Present. Present. 3. Suggest. Suggestion. 4. Project. Project. Projector. 5. Inform. Information. 6. Explain. Explanation. Track 2.
Hello?
Hello, is that Ali?
Yes, who's calling?
Hi, Ali. It's me, Sam.
Hey, Sam. How are you? When are you arriving?
I'm fine. Really looking forward to seeing you. I've booked my flight for Wednesday morning, arriving at 6:50 in the evening.
Great. That's Wednesday, the 6th of July. And what airline are you flying on?
British Airways. Flight number BA 3025.
BA 1325?
No, 3025. 3025.
Ah, okay. And it gets in at 6:15, right?
No, at 6:50. 10 to 7?
Right. Sorry, this line's not very good. So you'll be on flight BA 3025 on Wednesday the 6th, arriving at 6:50 p.m.
That's right.
Good. Well, don't worry. I'll be there to meet you at the airport. We're going to have a fantastic time. I can show you all around.
Track 20. So, who's going to do the introduction?
Well, I suggest you present the first part, Farouk. You've done a lot of work on this project after all.
Well, okay, I'll start. But you've got a lot of information too. I think you should explain the next 2 slides. Track 21.
Okay, everyone. The first thing we have to decide is our topic. I mean, what exactly are we going to talk about? We know the course is art history, and the subject is Italian painting, but that's still too big. We have to choose a particular topic. What do you think, Mandy?
I think we should concentrate on a single painter.
But on the other hand, if we discuss more than one artist, it'll be easier to make comparisons and show the differences between them.
That's a good idea, Edward. It'll give us more to discuss.
Right. So the next thing is to decide which artists to look at. I think we should definitely include Michelangelo. You know, he painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Rome. He's very famous. And what about Leonardo da Vinci? They were both great painters. What do you think, Beth?
They're okay, I suppose. But don't you think everyone else will choose them? How about Botticelli? His painting is very different from the other two.
I agree with Beth. Why don't we have Michelangelo and Botticelli?
I'm happy with that. Everyone else okay with it?
Track 22.
Right, guys. Let's have a look at what we're going to put in the slides. The first slide's going to be the introduction, isn't it? So I guess it should have a title. How about Michelangelo and Botticelli? A comparison.
Yeah. So we've got the title. Don't you think we should make a list of bullet points for each of the slides in the presentation?
Oh yes, definitely. How many slides do we have to do?
Well, the presentation's 10 minutes long, so we should probably have a maximum of 6 slides. Remember that Beth's already got 2 slides about Botticelli.
Well, why don't we do 2 slides each? That'd be 8, including the introduction and the conclusion.
That sounds fair enough. Let's do that. So, who's going to do the rest of the slides?
I can start off with the introduction, and then I could do the conclusion and the summary at the end. What do you think?
Great! I'd like to talk about Michelangelo's paintings. I've done quite a lot of reading about them.
Fine. So I could do a couple of slides showing how Michelangelo and Botticelli are similar and how they're different.
Track 23.
We want the presentation to look as if it's been made by a team, don't we, Edward? I think we should have one design for all the slides. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, of course. We don't want a different color for each slide. Shall we design a slide now for the rest of the group to use?
Yes, let's do that. let's have a look. This slide has the program icon on the title box. Shall we keep it there?
No, I don't think so. It hasn't got anything to do with the presentation. Let's take that off.
Fine. And I think we should keep the blue bullet points. They match the light blue title box. What do you think about putting images in each slide?
Oh, absolutely. I think we should put at least one image in each slide.
Good. We're agreed then. Let's send this slide to the other, shall we? Working in a small company.
3.
Hello, my name's Annie and I'm the University Careers Officer. I've come in this evening to tell you about jobs that involve spending a lot of time outside.
4.
Good evening, everyone. Right, last week we talked about working in private education. Well, this week's talk will cover employment in universities.
5. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. I'm Angus MacDonald. I'm a police officer, and today I'll be talking about job fulfillment. 6.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. My topic for this evening will be how to find employment. I hope you'll find it useful. Who was that? When was Michelangelo born?
In 1475.
And Botticelli?
In 1445.
So let's put Botticelli first and follow with Michelangelo.
So we have to work outside quite a lot, even in the winter when it's cold and dark. That's the worst part of the job, really. You know, having to go out in the rain and snow to feed the animals. But the summer's totally different. I really enjoy being outdoors, helping the fruit pickers and loading the trucks. We deliver most of our fruit to supermarkets, but we also supply local shops with our milk, eggs and cheese. In fact, we produce so much cheese and fruit that we even sell them directly to the public in our farm shop.
Mobile phones?
Not exactly. We're actually going to explain the dangers of using mobile phones.
Ah, okay. That sounds interesting. What are you going to discuss exactly?
Well, we've planned to divide the presentation into 3 sections. We'll have an introduction explaining why we think it's important to understand the dangers of mobiles. Then, on the second slide, we'll have a list of the different types of danger. And then on the last slide, we're going to suggest ways of staying out of danger when you use a mobile.
Yes, we want to start by telling the audience that using a mobile phone can be dangerous and then go into more detail in the next part.
Okay. But before you talk about the dangers of mobiles, I think you should mention the advantages. You could put that in your introduction. It balances up the argument a bit.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean. Right, we'll do that.
Before you hear the next part of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7.
In London. My job is quite stressful because I work in the accident and emergency unit. Our hospital is the only one in the area with an A&E, so all the urgent cases come to us. Mostly we see people who have been in car crashes or had an accident at home. When people arrive at the unit, I have to see them first. I examine them to find out what's wrong and make sure we give them the right treatment. When we're sure the patients aren't in any serious danger, the nurses put all the information in their personal records and find them a bed if they're staying in hospital, or arrange for them to go home if they don't need to stay.
I think there's plenty of information, but I think it's all a bit mixed up at the moment. I mean, you've got dangers like getting headaches in the same list as having car accidents and being robbed in the street. They're all different types of danger, aren't they? I think you should divide them into groups, maybe under separate titles like health, accidents, and security.
Oh, right. Yes, thank you. That'll make it much clearer to the audience. Okay.
Now, in the third slide, you can put your suggestions for staying away from each of these dangers under separate titles. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10.
And part of my job is to give talks to students about police work. People often ask why I joined the police, so maybe I'll start there. I've always been interested in law and order, so I went to study law at university. But when I got there, I realised that I was more interested in the practical side of law than the theory. So I applied to work with the police force in my spare time. Then, as soon as I graduated, I was accepted for training.
Before you hear the next part of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7. You could put some images on your slides that show examples without spending time talking about them.
Hey, that's a good idea. And the audience can look at them while we talk.
And another thing, make sure all the slides have the same style. You should get together and agree on one style for the whole presentation.
OK, we'll do that too. Thanks a lot for your help.
That is the end of section 3. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.
Especially when there's a football match and the fans are out celebrating. So, our working hours are one disadvantage of police work. A lot of the time we have to work with the public to avoid problems, and we get special training for that. But we can't always prevent trouble. So, another disadvantage of the job is the danger. I mean, we know that some of the people we have to arrest will attack us.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10. Track 37. Now listen and answer questions 8 to 10.
Now for the advantages. Well, one of the advantages is that police work is well paid. As I've said, it's a difficult job and police officers work hard for their pay. But there are many more advantages. For example, sometimes the work's fun, especially when we have to protect famous people from their own fans. I've met quite a lot of celebrities in my job, and I must say I enjoy seeing them close up and finding out what they're really like as people. But for me, the biggest advantage is the job satisfaction. Speaking for myself, I would say I get the most job satisfaction when I help someone, or solve a problem in a community. And in the future, I'd like to train to be a detective. I think I'd be good at that.
That is the end of section 4. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers. 2.
Good morning, everyone. For the last 2 weeks, we've been looking at employment opportunities in industry. And in today's lecture, I'll be talking about working in a large corporation.
3.
Hello, my name's Annie and I'm the University Careers Officer. Today I'm going to talk about working outdoors.
4.
Is everyone ready? Okay, remember last week we discussed work in private industry? Well, this week's talk will cover employment opportunities in institutions of further education.
5. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you. I'm Angus MacDonald. I'm a police officer, and my topic today is job satisfaction. 6.
Good evening. It's good to see so many people here this cold night. OK, my lecture this evening will be about finding a job.
Especially when there's a chance of making their lives a bit safer. Just to start, does anyone know what the most common crime is? No? Well, theft is the most common crime in the UK. There are various kinds of theft. For instance, robbery, when a thief takes something away from someone personally, like when you're walking in the street and someone grabs your handbag or your mobile and runs away. That's robbery. Another form of theft is burglary, when a thief breaks into your house and steals your property. OK, now I'd like to go on to talk about safety on holiday. You probably know that when you're on holiday abroad, you're in much more danger of being robbed. This is because you probably don't know the country very well. For example, you might not realise that you're in a dangerous area. One of the things you can do to protect yourself is to keep your passport and money in the safe in the hotel. You can always go back and get them if you need them. Another thing you can do is take an old mobile with you on holiday. These new smartphones are very popular with thieves all over the world. It's safer just to take an old one.
When other people are talking, I usually go upstairs to work in the silent zone, on the first floor.
Oh, do you? Is it difficult to study at home then? Where do you live?
I'm living in a hall of residence on campus.
Oh, right. It must be tough trying to study in your room.
Yeah, it's pretty noisy, especially at the weekends. Are you living on campus too?
Yes, I'm on campus, but there are only 4 people in our house, so it tends to be a bit quieter. It's at the end of the footpath, not far from the sports centre.
Oh, right. I know where you mean. I play football on the pitch next to the sports centre. I spend quite a lot of time around there.
Well, next time you're in that part, let me know. You can come round for coffee. Going on holiday to India this summer, it's useful to know that the emergency number there is 100.
14. By the window. 2.
There are 40 passengers in first class.
3.
There should be 50 people on the bus.
4.
Her plane arrives at 16:15.
5. Our train leaves at 17:30.
We all know the halls of residence are quite a long way from the library, don't we? So, for example, if you've been studying in the library till late and you're nervous about going home alone, all you have to do is ring campus security on 3333 and we'll send someone to make sure you're safe. OK? By the way, another important thing to remember is the campus emergency number. We all know the national emergency number in the UK is 999. But when you're on campus and there's an emergency, you should call 3333. If you call 3333, you'll get through to our own staff right here on campus. They can react quickly and get to you faster than national services.
Food like burgers or Chinese stir-fry or fried chicken, there's a huge fast food hall in the middle of the campus.
Is that the big building between the Students' Union building and the shops?
Yeah, that's right. It's a great place to meet your friends. There's always music and plenty of chat.
Sounds like my kind of place.
But if you just want a quiet place to have a coffee and a pastry, there's a snack bar by the lake. It has Wi-Fi and an internet cafe, and it has a spectacular view over the lake.
Well, thank you very much. Can I invite you?
I've been looking at the crime figures for both areas, and I thought I'd start by talking a bit about that. Then I'll give you some advice about how to avoid becoming a victim of crime. Okay, first of all, let's look at what kinds of crime are committed most in different regions. Okay, I'll start with India. Generally, India isn't thought of as a dangerous place for individuals, but there has been an increase in handbag theft in recent years. So keep an eye on your bag when you're out in the street. Right. Now, let's look at Latin America. Of course, you do realise that not all Latin American countries are the same, but it is true to say that guns are used in a high percentage of crimes across the region. Looking at the figures, it seems that gun crime is a serious problem throughout.
Before you hear the next part of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7.
Side that leads into the lobby. In the middle of the building, there's a big open PC zone. The lift and stairs are on the left as you go in, and on the other side of the building, there's the library cafe. That part of the library is pretty sociable. It's a good place to study with friends.
I really prefer to study alone. Is there anywhere in the library I can go?
Oh, if you like studying in a quiet place, it's better to go upstairs to the silent zone. As you come out of the lift or up the stairs, you'll see a section on your right facing north which is closed off. That's the silent zone. On the other side, facing south, are the bookshelves with all the cookbooks and...
Before you hear the next part of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 5 to 7.
Had a really great time. They followed advice from the authorities, like making sure they didn't wear expensive jewellery in the street. And I'd certainly advise anyone travelling to Latin America to do the same. Another thing you should be careful of is not to go to lonely places at night. But of course, that's the same anywhere. But I must say, you do have to be very careful in some parts of Latin America when you take your money out of a cash machine. Sometimes you find that thieves stand very close to people at cash machines and take their money as it comes out.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10.
On the plan of the library. The plan shows you exactly what section of the library the books are actually kept in.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10.
That it was dangerous at all. First of all, I went on an organised tour with a group of people. This is definitely the best way to go because it's so much safer. I mean, I didn't go anywhere without the group, and we had a tour guide who spoke the local language and knew the area. In fact, I remember now, she warned us not to go off with strangers, even if they seem nice and friendly. But again, you wouldn't do that at home either, would you?
That is the end of section 2. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.
At the end, the system prints out a ticket. It's a good idea to keep it for a while, just in case you have a problem with your loan.
Thanks again, Lily. You've been really kind. That is the end of section 1. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.
Note of the writer's name and summarize their ideas in a notebook. It's very old-fashioned, isn't it?
It is a bit. Actually, I'm quite the opposite. I've downloaded some free software from the internet. It lets me save all the articles and e-books I get online and make notes on them. I like it because it's cheaper than printing everything. But what do you do, Enrique?
Oh, I'm afraid my note-taking system isn't as modern as that, and it's much more expensive. I print the articles I find online, and I photocopy pages out of textbooks. Then I go through and highlight all the important information with a pen. Not very good for the environment, I'm afraid. What about you, Jenny?
I'm in the middle, really. I don't use special software, but I keep all the articles I read online in folders on my PC and make notes on them there.
Track 53. Hey, Leslie, are you ready for the exam?
Hi, Jen. I haven't seen you for weeks. Am I ready? I don't know. I've been revising really hard, but I can't remember anything at the moment. You know, I get ready for exams by planning a revision timetable. It helps me make sure I've studied everything on time. But just before an exam, my mind goes blank.
Yes, I know what you mean. I've been trying out a new technique for remembering facts and details. I heard about it in a psychology lecture. What you do is put together pictures in your mind of the different things you want to remember. It's usually better if you can make the pictures funny, like cartoons.
I hadn't heard of that. It sounds like fun. Do you do that too, Indira?
Well, I tried it once, but it didn't help me much. I remember things by hearing them in my head. I can't really study in the library when people are talking, because I have to be able to hear myself saying things over in my mind. It's easier for me to concentrate if I study at home, late at night when it's quieter. What do you do to remember things for exams, Mark?
I go to bed early the night before the exam and get up very early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, and then I read over my notes again just to refresh my memory. I know a lot of lecturers tell us not to do last-minute revision, but it works well for me.
Track 54.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Can I take my phone into the exam if I switch it off?
Your mobile? No mobiles are allowed in the exam hall. You can put it in your bag, though.
Okay, but then what do I do with my bag?
Bags go in the lockers, down the corridor on the left. There are keys in the doors. Just lock the door and take the key with you. Over here. Look, have a look at the poster. When you've put your things away, go to the main door of the exam hall and show the supervisor your student ID card.
Oh, okay, I see. So I show my ID card at the door, and then when I get into the exam hall, I need to look for my examination number? Is that the same number as my ID card?
Yes, that's right. The same number.
So where should I look for it?
Your examination number will be on a desk.
Ah, right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good luck.
Track 55. Hi guys. Is everyone set to study for the exams then? Does anyone have any hints about how to get ready for them? I'm not sure where to start, really. Any ideas, Barbara?
Well, Mac, there are lots of things we could do. I mean, we could start by looking at old exam papers, or we could go through all the lecture notes for each subject. What do you think?
I think it's better to go through this year's lecture notes first. I mean, the exam topics might have changed since last year. Do you agree, Jerry?
Yeah, I think you're right. The lecture notes will tell us what the main topics of the subject are. Do you think we could ask the tutors what the exam topics might be?
I think we could ask, and they might tell us roughly what to look at, but I don't think they'll tell us exactly what the topics will be.
I think it's a good idea to ask them, just to know what to focus on. So, what's next? What do you think about reading all the books on the reading list? Jerry?
I don't think that's a very good idea. We can't read all the books.
I think you're right. What I think we have to do is try to remember the most important details and arguments from the main writers and be ready to use them in the exam.
Yeah, okay. Then the next thing to do is look at old exam papers and see what kind of questions we might get.
Yes, that's where the old exams will help, looking at the type of questions.
Right. So, when we've worked out which topics we need to study and remembered the main ideas, we can look at old papers and write a few practice questions.
Yes, and that'll help.
Track 6.
Where to, madam?
Westbourne Grove, please.
Westerbourne Grove. In the city centre?
No, Westbourne, near the park. Sorry, I haven't got the postcode.
No problem. How do you spell it?
Westbourne.
Track 7.
Good morning. Taxis for you. How can I help you?
Oh, good morning. I'd like to book a taxi to the airport, please.
Right. And which airport is that?
London Heathrow.
That's fine. And when do you need the taxi for?
My flight leaves from Terminal 5 at 7:20 on Wednesday, the 6th of July, next week.
Wednesday the 6th at 7:20 a.m. So you'll need the taxi at 3:30, okay? Can I have your name, please?
Sam Williams.
And your address?
60 Willowside Bank, Abingdon. That's Abingdon.
Thank you. And the postcode is?
OX14 3HB.
OX14 3HB. And can I have a contact number for you?
Yes, of course. My mobile is 07789 612 744.
Thank you. 07789 612 744. Now, we'll be picking you up at 3:30. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Track 8.
Have you filled in your landing card?
No, sorry. I'm having a few problems.
Can I help you at all?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, the first question's very easy. What's your family name?
My family name is Liu. Liu.
And your first name?
Well, my English name is Grace, but my Chinese name is Huafang. Which one should I put here?
Which name do you have in your passport?
Huafang. Hua and Fang.
So you should put that one. And your date of birth?
Shall I put the day first or the month?
See where it says DDMM and YYYY?
Yes. What does that mean?
It means date, month and year.
Oh, okay. So I put 17/12/1994.
The 17th of December 1994?
Yes, that's right. And what address is this?
That would be where you are staying in the UK.
Ah, okay. Let me see. 13 Park Road, Brighton. BRIGHTON. And the postcode BN40 4GR.
Is there anything else you need help with?
No, thank you. I understand the other questions. Thank you very much for your help.
Track 9. Section 1. You will hear a telephone conversation between a hotel receptionist and a caller making a reservation. In the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 to 7. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, The conversation relating to this will be played first.
Silver Tulip Hotel, good afternoon. How can I help you?
Ah, yes. Good afternoon. I'd like to book a room for next Friday.
Certainly, sir. How many nights will you be staying?
Just one, please.
The caller says he will be staying for just one night. So one is the answer here. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 7.
Silver Tulip Hotel, good afternoon. How can I help you?
Ah, yes. Good afternoon. I'd like to book a room for next Friday.
Certainly, sir. How many nights will you be staying?
Just one, please.
And would you like a single or double room?
A double room, please.
A double room. And would you like twin beds or a king-size bed?
A king-sized bed, please.
Let me see. Yes, we do have a double room available for next Friday. Would you like me to book it for you?
Yes, please.
Could I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Edward Francis.
Is that Frances?
No, it's Francis.
Francis.
Yes, that's right.
And your home address, please, sir?
Yes, it's 23 Cypress Avenue, Cambridge.
Is that Cyprus?
No, Cypress, like the tree.
Oh, I see. And your postcode is?
CB3 9NF.
And it's just for one night?
Yes, that's right.
We can reserve a parking space for you. Are you coming by car?
Actually, I'll be taking a taxi from the station.
That's fine. And one last question. Would you like dinner and breakfast?
No dinner, thank you. But I'd like breakfast.
Just breakfast. So, to confirm, you're arriving on Friday the 16th of April and leaving on Saturday the 17th. That's one night in a double room with a king-size bed with breakfast.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 8 to 10.